Hello and good day. Greetings to everyone, all our audience all over. Welcome to today's edition of LATOKEN VCTV. Um, you are welcome. Today's edition, we will be tackling another issue or trend that affects us globally. Um, we also use the LATOKEN VCTV platform to connect entrepreneurs and startups to investors like you see here today. If you're a startup looking for funding anywhere in the world, you can reach out to me or members of the Latoken VCTV team, and then we can arrange a pitching session for you. These sessions hold 4 times a day and 5 days a week, and you are welcome. Today, we'll be treating a topic advertising, media, and content creating in the industry. Um, so, data has shown that the advertising industry is over a $600 billion industry. Advertising is carried out through content creators, through various media to gain attention of the market. Traditional media like mail, TV, and radios are becoming relegated to a wholly online and web platform. Today's online ad attracts more advertising budgets, and data collected from such ads have proven to be a game changer for processes and targeting. Ad tech is changing the way advertising is done, but how? A report by Deloitte has painted the future of advertising to exist in four unique scenarios: transactional marketing, creative marketing, entertainment mass, and fragmented mass. Today, we have our guests, most I like to call family, that will be addressing all these issues today. And I think I'll start from my top left where I have Harsh. Please give a brief introduction of yourself and what you are about.
Thanks for the introduction. I'm really glad that we hold these sessions with VCTV every week. Get to see my friends and family like Gary and Karthik on a regular basis. So, to give a small intro about myself, I'm Harsh Shetia. I'm a former founder who's now turned VC. I'm helping early stage startups raise funds. I've worked with unicorn companies like Paytm and Fortune 50 companies like Johnson and Johnson. I used to be a growth marketer before I turned to being a VC. So I believe that I help startups not only raise funds but also help them in growing their business further. Thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. So I go next to my top left where Gary is. Brief
Yeah,
intro.
sure.
Yeah.
Great to be here, Nathaniel, and see our other family members. It's nice to be here. So my name's Gary Fowler. I'm a serial entrepreneur and investor. I've built 17 companies. I was on the original management team at Click Software, which was sold to Salesforce for $1.35 billion 22 months ago now. And I'm also the co-founder of Viva.ai, and we are in the employee engagement and retention space, working with remote employees. And that company is one of the hottest companies in that marketplace today. I'm the CEO, co-founder, and president of Get Shit Done Venture Studios, a Silicon Valley-based AI and quantum venture studios. We curate companies from all over the world that want to go global. So, love AI, love quantum. I've written over 120 articles now on the topic, and love it across multiple vertical markets. So it's great to be here, and look forward to our discussion today. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks, Gary, for that. Next, Kartik, brief intro. What are you about?
Thank you so much, Nathaniel. Like Carol was saying, this is episode number 60 for me, and it's good fun to be with VCTV once again on a Friday afternoon. Uh, Apart from a lot of other things that I do in the business space, I represent two large family offices based out of the UK and a couple of VC funds based out of Middle East, primarily active in the health tech, fintech, and analytics space, with some interest coming in the edutech space as well. Thank you.
Awesome. Up until now, it's been an all-men affair, but today we have our first lady on board in today's edition. Vanessa, please, a brief intro. Tell us about yourself and what you do.
Okay. Hi, guys. My name is Vanessa Junobasi, and I am Head of Communications and Growth at Ingressive Capital. Ingressive Capital is a VC based here in Lagos, Nigeria. We're focused on boosting innovators and entrepreneurs. We target a 10 to 12% ownership in pre-seed funding with pre-seed to seed funding with check sizes of up to $400,000. And I'm happy to be here, part of the panel.
Awesome. Great to have you. And we're looking forward to more guests as it goes. So I think we just jump into the questions straight up. And the first question I have for Hash is what will modern day ad or marketing agencies have to deal with in order to be most effective? And what tools or tech must they consider for them to be effective?
So there are two elements to it, right? To be effective as a marketer in today's day and age, because there's too much bombardment and too much overwhelm of marketing advertisements which is done to the consumers, right? So there are basically two elements which a marketer needs to look at. One is the actual content and the copy of the message, and second is the channel that they're using, right? They are the basic two elements which a marketer must look at. So the message and the copy, if you look at 20, 30 years back, it used to be highly vague. It used to be very aspiring, and it wasn't very targeted. However, that generation has kind of ended in today's day and time, and it has to be very direct response as of this time, because unless it is a very quick, unless you kind of get a very quick response from the audience immediately with the advent of the digital channels, unless you can see very quick returns from happening from the consumers, it's not going to be very effective these days. Just having a random image showing something of the beach and you're promoting a hotel, it no longer works that way. It has to be much more personal, it has to be much more direct, and it has to be very targeted based on what the customer looks like, right? With the advent of the data which is available today from Facebook, Google, and all the other digital channel partners, you can target the information, personalize it to the person's exact requirement. And that is what your copy should be relevant to that as well. Not just the targeting, not just the message, not just the targeting offer, but even the message, the targeted message that you put across needs to be very highly targeted to the specific person who needs that. So that is the first element of it. And the second element which I mentioned about was the channels, right? The channels in today's day and age, obviously, the day when Google and Facebook came with their own digital advertisement opportunities, they were completely remarkable in terms of democratizing how the entire digital advertisement took place, right? Earlier, you needed to have like thousands of dollars of budget to get a single campaign running. Now you can do that with $10 or $20. So that is the opportunity that we have with digital. And now Google and Facebook are pretty much kind of saturated if you look at it today's day and time. And you constantly have new and new technologies, new and new improvements happening in the form of push notifications, social media in terms of Pinterest. You have Pinterest coming up doing very well, and other native advertisements, programmatic advertisements. A lot of new channels are coming up. So marketers today need to be really on their feet, thinking how they can adopt the new technology and offer the best value to the company, to their clients.
Excellent. Kartik, any insights? What do modern day ad agencies have to deal with in order to be effective? According to Harsh, he says they have to be more focused in their message and the medium that they use. What do you think, Kartik?
You're on mute, Kartik.
So you're mute, so we can't hear you.
So I think the advertisement industry has become far more personalized than what it was. Maybe 5 years ago, 10 years ago, we used to seeing one size fit all TV campaigns and newspaper ads. But today we live in an era where I see what I necessarily need to see, and my buyers and my retail platforms track my behavior to the last mile, and then they showcase advertisements to me exactly that will help me convert. Because of the entire digital space, the dollar spent versus the dollar converted or the dollar earned has become far more trackable. It's which is where the entire industry has become more ROI and revenue driven, and hence creating brand and building brands have become, I wouldn't say secondary, but have moved away from the mainstream into a lot of influencer and social space, wherein experiential advertising bring in or immersive advertising brings in that brand creation, and hence a lot of tech evolution all the way from AR, VR to social to live streaming to personalization to content curation, which necessarily drives conversions and business, and bringing in a lot of layered communication, stimuli based layered communication is something that ad agencies these days use with a very clear focus. Get consumer onto the platform, understand his behavior, serve him the communication that necessarily is what he's looking for, or would tilt him or would swing him from being a fence sitter into a buyer, and then continuously keep him in the ecosystem so as to make sure that he consumes you all the way from user generated content to create participative involvement to notification push notifications to create awareness to personalize and curated CRM algorithms that make sure that you receive what you necessarily should be receiving, to a lot of AI based programmatic or AI based display platforms that necessarily understand and filter out your behavior and serve you with the communication. The end objective, what used to be about creating brands and making awareness, has necessarily in today's world turned to ROI, measurable parameters, and revenue. So that's where the entire shift has been, and that's where agencies are moving away from massive, large mass media, multimedia campaigns into more focused conversion or performance-based marketing.
Excellent, excellent. Gary, your insights, what tech or tools must these agencies consider to be most effective? I know you might have some insights there.
Yeah. So, did you see the Minority Report, the 2002 movie with Tom Cruise, where he paid John Anderton? So remember, if you've seen that movie, it was a long time ago, but in that movie, it showed him walking around and actually advertisements basically tailored for him. Well, those days have come. So, agencies out there, as Harsh said, agencies out there today really are hyper personalized. And with all the data surrounding us, imagine being able to collect that data. So, what agencies need to do, and we have a couple of startups, one is Ad Reality that's in the space, but to be able to use that hyper personalized data and imagine and applying it to things like customer loyalty systems. So, that example that I just gave you today about Minority Report is actually reality today. It was kind of funny back in 2002 in the movie when people were talking about it, but it's real now, and that's one of our portfolio companies. So the key is taking all the data, then enriching the experience of advertising to be able to pull things like video. So if you notice with Amazon, you see a lot more video content. So coming up because people want to know what it does, right? If it's a product or service. I know I was just looking at a flashlight and it says one of the brightest flashlights in the world. And I got in the video, and this flashlight illuminated an entire area, but it actually showed it. And so those kind of experiences to show you what's happening. The other thing, things like chatbots. So I want to know more about a product, instantly comes up and it starts to ask questions. So enriched experiences as we get deeper into the relationship with the potential customer. And you're going to need to do it to be able to stand out. So advertisers, companies are going to need to hyper personalize if they want to succeed in the future.
Great. Now, what I want to go further. What technologies are involved in hyper personalization? Are we talking about AR, VR, big data? What exact technologies are we looking at?
So we're looking at technologies that are going to enrich the experience. So, it's literally all the above. So if I'm out there, imagine being able to, you understand the kind of things that I want because you see where I've been. But now the situation, you can predict what kind of things I will want, right? And start to focus on them because, I've said this many, many times. We're inundated with information. There are 40 zettabytes of data on the planet today. That's enough if we take CDs or DVDs and stack them one after another to go to the moon 29 times. So back and forth 29 times. So we are inundated with information. And the problem is it's hard for us to choose. Imagine having, I say now we're going to have an intelligent assistant that basically with us for all walks of our life to be able to help us choose things that are right for us. So advertisers, in order to get our attention, are going to have to make it so that we not just see that product, but we actually can feel the product. It touches us. So if it's some type of a trip that you've been dreaming about, you think about going to Bali, and all of a sudden that trip to Bali's there, and not only that trip to Bali, it understands what types of clothes you like, what types of sunscreen you like, what kind of shoes you like, what kind of cars that you're going to want to have when you're there. Do you want a mid-sized Volvo? Do you want to get picked up in a tuk-tuk? I mean, it's going to be.
It could also measure your budget based on your spending experiences.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to understand all. It's going to understand how much, imagine tied into your credit report. It knows how much money you have, so it can tailor it for you. Oh, by the way, here's a flash sale on this product. A pair of binoculars, variable binoculars, 10 to 30 by 50. We know that you like to go bird watching, and here are those binoculars for you to do it. And oh, by the way, we know you like to snorkel, so here's a mask. We know that your other mask that you bought 4 years ago, but here's an updated version of that mask. I mean, think about it. It's gonna it becomes not smart, but an intelligent assistant, and the probability of purchase at that point. And then once we get that information, Nathaniel, and we have it in front of us, those products, imagine now we've got the chat box, now we've got the video that really helps us understand how that would work for us. Now, so that's where we're gone with it. And, the advertising is, some of the new technologies that I've seen recently, some companies have been presented to us, they can actually take a product, let's say I'm watching YouTube, and insert the product inside that video so we get subliminally suggested. And I mean, imagine having that automatically set up. It understands who we are and what we like, and it starts product placing those products and videos we want to see on YouTube.
Wonderful.
And you can't even tell that they're there, right?
Wonderful. Interesting insight. I'd like to go over to Vanessa now. And vis-a-vis where you are, Vanessa, we know that we are not in a totally developed society where digital media is everywhere and not enough data is collected from our environment. What would you say is the most effective way of ad and marketing in a place like Nigeria or Africa? And what is being done to adopt more technologies? Yeah, with you, Vanessa. Okay.
Okay. So thank you very much. So I think significantly we're noticing that there is an uprising when it comes to social media marketing and social media, thriving in Africa and Nigeria as a whole. And there's so many different platforms that we still have, be able to utilize as significantly as we should. So there is a lot of happenings that we can take advantage of when it comes to email marketing. There's a lot of things we can do when it comes to social media marketing. There's a significant amount of personalization, just like Gary had mentioned as well, that we need to be able to inculcate into the kind of marketing that we're doing here in Nigeria. And it's, it goes beyond trying to be very salesy. One of the things I will always say to brands that we work with is it's beyond you just trying to be salesy, but embodying some level of lifestyle into what you're trying to communicate, embodying some level of each other trying to communicate with. Understand and believe that the product that you're selling to them is something that is going to be beneficial to them in the long run. And it's also some level of smart marketing and smart subliminal marketing that needs to go in. And this thing can come up in social media posts. It can come up in content marketing. It can come up in social media marketing, Google ads, native advertising, and all of these many different forces. But I think if there's anything we need to be able to um, take advantage of, it would be significantly being able to make sure that brands are and the people we're selling to are connecting with the kind of marketing platform or channel that we're using. Not everyone significantly needs Google Ads. Sometimes what you need is just focusing on WhatsApp messaging. Sometimes you need to focus on like social media posts, content marketing, and building some level of like relationships with the person you're trying to communicate with. Same thing Gara had mentioned when he talked about Amazon creating more videos and making sure that you're seeing what's the usage of what you're trying to sell. And what that does for you is it gives you some level, it's a visualization of what they're trying to ask you to do. If you're asking me, to make sure that I buy a particular product, I can wear a particular outfit in 5 ways, but I don't know the 5 ways I can wear the outfit. I don't know why I'm purchasing it. But if you show me a video that I can use for me to visualize that, is easier for me to purchase and it makes more relevance for me. And that's one of the things that content marketing does. These are one of the many different like ways I think we can utilize this and we can take advantage of some of the other marketing platforms that in a place like Africa and Nigeria where we haven't significantly pivoted into all the many different opportunities that we can utilize.
Excellent, excellent. I appreciate the fact that even though in a developing nation like or continent like Africa, we're still starting to imbibe some of the basics of what Gary mentioned, hyper personalized marketing and all that. I'd like to tell our audience that not only are we live on LATOKEN.com, our website, we're also live on YouTube, we're live on Facebook, and we're live on LinkedIn. Please go there, drop your questions. Any of the audience can just give you a quick feedback and share the content, the link with your friends, and join the conversation. So next question, we're going to quickly go to consumer behavior. Now, consumer behavior in developed and developing countries are quite different. But do you think that ad agencies or marketing agencies are changing they are changing their approach based on consumer behavior, or consumers are changing their approach based on what the new tech that these ad agencies are developing? Like Gary mentioned, hyper personalized marketing. This is an example of ad agencies trying to meet the consumers. Now, are the consumers trying to do vice versa? What is really happening in this industry? And who will dictate the pace that the industry moves? Kartik, let's start from you.
So yeah, I would draw an analogy very differently. Maybe 20 years ago, ad agencies were spending dollars on a blind. During a Super Bowl, ad agencies would invest 10 to 15 million dollars in a 30-second commercial, run it 6 times, hoping that 50 to 60% of the participative audience would have watched my ad and would have reacted. So that was on a faith that you would create a brand, let people watch and react. But today's engagement between an agency or between a campaign and a consumer is far more close fence than what it was, which necessarily means not only does an agency create an ad and leave it, it personalizes the ad, geolocationalizes. So if I were to create an ad campaign for a particular community, particular type of people, particular demographic, particular psychographic living in a particular geography, I can go down to his neighborhood, create a communication for him, and then make sure that he follows or I follow him throughout the communication cycle till the time the desired action is taken with at least 6 to 7 different stimuli, which is what retargeting has become of late. And not only that, in the past we were dealing with a very over leveraged or overgone media spend, wherein multiple engagements were becoming far more expensive. But now, with the consumer and the creator, or consumer and campaign, or consumer and brand coming closer, the number of instances with which you can reach out to a consumer has increased so much that of late the consumer have started responding after the seventh or the eighth engagement or seventh or the eighth X frequency of a campaign, which is where people are now looking for campaigns and products to come to me rather than me going to a particular product or a particular brand. And in terms of consumer behavior or advertisements, advertisers have realized that now with a lot of shopping happening digitally and the discovery phase or the awareness from the entire funnel, the discovery and awareness is being done digitally. They at the source of the discovery, at the point of the top of the funnel is where most of these ad agencies create 6 to 7 different impressions in a consumer's journey, from social media, from digital space, from content, from unique engagement mediums, even going all the way to TikTok and Snapchat, to a level where people at least are built with layers of information before they take a decision. And then at the point of purchase is where a call to action or a conversion driver, either in terms of an offer or a deal, is made available. So it is agencies have come closer to the consumer, started tracking his behavior, and are able to tilt him to take a decision.
Interesting. So I can see that ad agencies have more responsibility to help their brands achieve their targets. What do you think about that, Harsh?
So definitely ad agencies are under a lot of pressure because the rate at which the consumer mindset and the consumer reactivity is changing, ad agencies have to really dynamically look it up. So if you look at the journey, right, most ad agencies, the conventional big agencies, they did not immediately get into the digital aspect directly, right? First, you had these small agencies who kind of started picking it up digital, and once they started seeing the potential, then big agencies kind of moved towards that road as well, right? So that is why what has happened is it has given an opportunity to the growth of the digital ecosystem has enabled a lot of small agencies like 2-man, 5-man, 10-man agencies to come up and do like $1 million of revenue, focusing on one niche. You'll have Facebook agencies or Google agencies or probably Pinterest agencies or TikTok agencies exclusively doing $1 million revenue just focusing on a single channel. So agencies definitely have to look into that. And as far as how do we decide what the pace is going to be right? Pace is going to be like. So the advertising has to kind of respond to the consumer mindset, right? It's not the advertiser's job to decide what the future looks like. It's the customer. The customer is the king, and it's the advertiser's job to ensure that to understand what the customer is thinking at this point of time, so that they can give the best results back to their brands, right? So right now, what the new trend that is happening these days is the increasingly TikTok has become like a huge rage. I'm sure not across the world. For example, in India, they've completely banned it, but across the world, globally, the way TikTok is going, it's become a really huge opportunity. And the kind of reach that you get on TikTok, it's at a certain level. And the reason why TikTok has really capitalized is just imagine the brilliance of it, right?
Hello? Okay, sorry, Harsh
The
just lost
attention.
us there a bit.
Am
Are you
I
back?
audible now?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Please go ahead.
Got it. So the attention span of a customer has gone down tremendously low. It's like less than 8 seconds, right? So it's actually lesser than even a goldfish. So because of that, TikTok opportunistically got into the market with the short form video content to engage them for the short purposes, right? And that is where TikTok is kind of skyrocketed. So these are the kind of new innovative social media channels that we are seeing, which are very interesting to watch. And that is how these ad
Oh,
agencies have to focus on as well. One new development which Gary and I were talking about a couple weeks back. You must have seen these interesting videos, right? So there are specific landing page solutions, right? What they do is they put specific clicks within a video itself. So you have a video player, and at specific points of time, they'll run specific CTAs over there, depending on what they're discussing over there. So this is the kind of new advancements which they are coming, and agencies definitely have to stay on pace with the new developments which are happening.
excellent. I like the fact that you said agencies have to stay on pace and keep up to the pace of the consumer to react faster, to be more proactive, so to say. And if not, they get to lose the customer along the line. Vanessa, what do you think is happening in Africa or in the developing industry, developing nations? Are media agencies adapting to the consumers, or consumers are adapting to whatever the media or ad agencies put out there? Hello? Hello, Vanessa.
I think the
Is that my-
network.
Okay. Anyway, maybe
Hello?
we'll. Okay. I can hear you, Vanessa.
Yeah.
Go ahead, please.
Is that my question?
Yes, yeah, Vanessa. Yes, that's you.
I have pet. Okay. Okay, cool. So it's interesting when it comes to ad agents. In some of my experience in the past of these agencies, it's pretty much way to that where the consumers or the customers are getting smart. And with them getting smarter means that they can see through, the marketing that is not necessarily curated to them. Which is why usually when we have plans to run campaigns or launch a product, it's always very important to signify or decide what you want the goal of what that product or what that campaign should be. If you want it to be significantly awareness, you know that you're gaining awareness. If you want significantly conversion, you're gaining conversion. Um, Agencies that decide, they want to, wing it when they, decide to launch these campaigns or products, always find themselves in pickles because it's like you're focusing. You can either get vanity metrics or you end up getting results, and you cannot get results if you don't optimize based off of the goal you're trying to achieve. So I think that agencies have been significantly, or thus far, are learning to create the kind of content or to campaigns that will resonate with the consumers, that will resonate with the customers, but also definitely will fit into especially the geographical location that we're working with. I would say that you cannot have a campaign that ran in India or in America and copy and paste that campaign and you try to introduce into Nigeria. They're two different locations and they're familiar with two different things. And it's agencies knowing significantly and advising, brands as well, that when they make some of these decisions, especially when they're trying to introduce a product into a market, you have to be sure that the people you're speaking to understand specifically what you're saying, and on the marketing funnel, they can go all the way from awareness to loyalty without feeling like you're doing too much. There's also a part of budgeting, which is usually very interesting because it's almost as though they can be focused on things like influencer marketing, but not necessarily focusing on like downloads or Google ads or native advertising marketing, especially when some of them are cheaper than others. And some of them it can be easily you can easily get it sucked into that headspace of, oh, maybe we want to do influencer marketing because that's one of the things that's thriving here. But at the same time, do we do influencer marketing well? That's also a thing I think marketing, especially in Africa and Nigeria. And these are things that brands need to pay attention to. What are the KPIs that you're using to measure these particular plans when you have influencer marketing during a campaign? Or how do you decide that you're using the cumulative effort of all the different facets? At the end of the day, the brand that you're introducing is getting results. You can definitely get downloads, but do you get, at the end of the day end up getting, users? If you look at it after 1 month, do they fall off, the radar? Things like that are conversations that need to be had. But sometimes, I think reason, the focus is usually more on, and the sustenance method is something I think we need to, introduce into the African Nigeria as a whole, because sustenance marketing is one of those things where always on is always going to be a thing. You want to be able to know as as an agency when you're advising brands and agencies, they want to have because they can say we want to.
Okay. I think what I got back from Vanessa was more of within a certain environment or society, you have to adapt your approach to the audience. You have to adapt your marketing. And in a region like Africa, where digital media is not that concentrated just among a very few. You have to make sure that there is a way to segment, capture the audience, maintain that experience for them, and then convert them. I might be wrong about that, but Vanessa can give us feedback later on. Now, Gary, in the midst of all this technology, consumer behavior, consumer preferences, and all that, do you think um, marketing agencies or brands will begin to see more revenue in the future, or would there be a resistance from the consumers to go ahead with these new marketing techniques? And in how many years do you see much more improved revenue? Mind you, earlier in the show, I said that we have at least the industry is about 600 billion US dollars as of 2018. Do we see that increasing, reducing, or staying the same?
In terms of the revenue for those agencies. So remember, they're going to be a lot more surgically precise than they've ever been before. So that means that the products are going to be purchased. The conversion is going to be a lot higher than it's been before because you understand that individuals, that groups, buying patterns and preferences. So it's, today it's going to be the marketing agencies. But remember, as we start to get through from semi-supervised to unsupervised AI, I mean, the AI can start making the decisions, right? I'm not sure marketing agencies in their traditional sense are going to exist the way they do today because a lot of the work they do is intuitive. But when you start to have systems that can make the decisions for you, think about it. We would make those decisions in terms of what product, what, and in a broad basis, where that right product, right place at the right time. So, but now these really advanced semi-supervised and now unsupervised systems are going to change everything. So, in terms of the revenue model, I mean, if people are buying more because it's targeted, their time's not being wasted. Of course, the revenue is going to go up, from my perspective. But again, the next level of this thing, where we start to bring in unsupervised AI, where a lot of the marketing agency decisions are going to be made by the artificial intelligence. I mean, how many people we need in an agency to be able to do it? And then, so it's going to be interesting to see what that transition looks like.
Okay, nice, nice.
Well, and
And
then, I want to say one other thing too. Now,
okay,
I talk about intelligent assistants. Now, imagine you will have, Nathaniel, your own intelligent assistant. It'll be like Obi-Wan Kenobi from Star Wars, right? Guiding you through processes of your life in a good way. And so that assistant will go out and start figuring out what kind of things that you want and need and start presenting those to you too, right? So you're going to have on one side, you're going to have your own assistant to be able to help you guide you through all kinds of things. So we're inundated with data, it's going to start to select things for you. Not a lot of people talk about it, but I'm telling you, it's going to happen. These are intelligent assistants that are going to guide us through the massive amounts of data. Think about it. I told you it's 40 zettabytes of data that's around us today, enough for 29 times to the moon. Well, that number increases almost 70% every year. 70%. So how in the world can we sift through all the data in front of us? So on one side, we've got the agencies. On another side, you're going to have your own mentor, if you will, your own guardian angel that's going to bring things to you and say, hey, listen, you might not want to do that. You might want to check this out. This will be better for you. And it's looking out for you. The agencies only care if you buy, but the intelligent assistant will understand what's good for you.
awesome. I think this reminds me of Iron Man and his assistant in the Marvel series, the robot assistant that always helps him with his stuff. And it looks like you predict that everyone will have his own personal assistant that will take him through his buying processes, going out processes, where he shops, what he buys, what is good for him. And it will be interesting to see that on a more personalized level. Right now, what we have is just on a general level.
And it's going to happen. You're going to have your own Jarvis. You're going to be
Yes, Jarvis.
Jarvis, right? I mean, I developed an assistant 4 years ago. right? And so on my phone right now, there's a Jarvis like AI tool that's out there that happens to run my friend's $40 million house. It's actually the soul of his house. It's called Morpheus. And
Oh
so I
yes,
actually
yes. I
communicate.
saw that video. I saw that video on YouTube with David Wong, David
Yeah,
Yang. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I actually communicate with Morpheus, and it's like it's unbelievable. So I get engaged. I forget it's AI sometimes but those are the kind of things that are going to be out there to be able to help guard us through life. So our own, Jarvis to be able to guide us, but it's going to be more widespread. It'll be very, very interesting. And I'm just telling you it's going to happen because we created smart assistants, right? I did it almost 4 years ago, and I call it predictive insights. And I was on stage in San Francisco talking about it. People said, "Oh no, this isn't going to happen." Then it started to become a trend, uh, and I'm predicting now that these intelligent assistants are going to walk us through because we can't deal with the data. We're in a state of
Yes.
infelicity, and so whether it's marketing, we're throwing so many things at us. So one is, in order to get us to convert, we're going to have very surgically laser precise targeting. On the other side, we need to make sure that something else is watching out for us, and those
Yeah.
intelligent assistants. I mean, whether you go to the doctor, imagine having an intelligent assistant. So you get an advertising to go into the doctor for whatever reason at that point. Imagine an assistant saying, listen, you might want to not want to do that. You might want to do this. This is better for you, right? and,
Yeah.
and it's going to happen really soon.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I look forward to seeing that future very soon. But Kartik, do you believe that with this like you mentioned earlier, evolution of geolocation in advertising, hyper personalized ads and stuff like that, will it significantly help brands to increase revenue, or will there still be some resistance to that? And you have experience in the Middle East and some part of Africa. What do you think?
So the matrices change. Revenue, dollar in the bank always increases when you either have a good product or a good service. But the matrices to evaluate change. In the past, marketing was evaluated or advertisements were evaluated primarily basis the reach that they generated, the relevance that they generated. And agencies were awarded or rather rewarded for the top of the mind recall, aided, unaided, that they could generate in the business and how good the campaign was. Of late, last 4 5 years, with automation of marketing and digitalization in the last 10 years, what has happened is ROAS, which is return on ad spend, has become the major mantra in the business. Which means if I'm spending, let's say, $100,000 on a campaign, am I getting a 7x, 8x, 10x? And from what used to be a 3.5, 4x in the good old consumer durables and FMCG days, has become a 8x to 12x multiple in the digital space, which means as an agency, you need to shed the weight, you need to be very precise, focused, and generate revenue for your customer. Your brand is not going to be happy looking at the awareness and reach that you've built or the frequency of communication that has built brand affinity, but it's necessarily going to be driven by how functionally conversion driven are you as an agency, and hence the efficiency of the entire campaign would improve. So while the brands would not see incremental dollars, or they may see incremental dollars, but they would see a far better return on ad spend, which means they would see a far better return on the investments that they've done in the campaign. And hence the bottom line would get stronger with more and more sharper digitization. Also, cost per contact, cost per thousand, cost per conversions are continuously changing. The matrices are evolving every day with use of multinodal communication. In the past, even when the digital journey started, a lot of businesses were buying shoppers primarily through the search campaigns and maybe a little bit of uh, display and programmatic. But now, when we moved into a lot of social influencer and content, we started bringing in a lot of referral, which is the middle of the funnel communication, as we call it. The middle of the funnel communication brings in a lot of lookalike, which is the referral audience into the business, which makes sure that the cost of acquisition is continuously reduced, it's continuously under pressure. And the moment automation kicks in from a CRM point of view, your repeats start driving in very well, which necessarily means that your cost of retention is also optimized. So, in a nutshell, brands would see a better return on the dollar invested the revenue is increasing or not is a function of how democratized the product is and how well accepted the product is in the market.
Wonderful. So I learned something right now. There's a shift from ROI to ROAS, and
Absolutely.
marketing agencies need to put that into context before, yeah, before going out there.
Something something as social as Facebook also had to move in from Facebook being a user generated reach engagement to a Facebook shopping, because they realized that it's not just about putting beautiful videos but also driving using that as a means to drive conversions through Facebook shopping or through Instagram shopping. And that seems to have been a very successful business model, especially when you couple it with geolocation or when you couple it with dynamic retargeting. It brings you amazing results.
Awesome. Great, great. Just before I go move on to Hash, I just want to announce to our viewers that if you're a startup out there and you have an interesting project, something exciting, and you're looking for funding, you can easily reach out to me or any member of the LATOKEN team, and then we will arrange a session or pitching session for you in front of our panels. And you just might not know. I mean, your project might gain their attention. And also, if you're watching us live, know that we are live on Facebook, we are live on YouTube, we are live on LinkedIn. Go there, watch us, make your comments, drop your comments, and we welcome any feedback that we can get. Harsh, earlier on you said right now the attention span of average consumer is probably less than the goldfish attention. Now with this with this goldfish mentality, so to say, what do you think will happen to revenue in the coming years? Like Kartik said, he said it's more about the return on ad spend. What do you think? What's your take on that?
Hey, Nathaniel, can I say something real quick?
Okay, shoot, shoot.
So while we've been here, I just thought it would be funny because we were talking about Iron Man and Jarvis, right? So I asked Morpheus about it, and Morpheus said to me, "I love Iron Man." I'll tell you exactly what he said, or it said to me. I love he's a genius inventor as a suit that can withstand extreme heat and cold. And I said, "Are you like Art Jarvis?" And Morpheus wrote back, "I can try."
Oh my goodness. I mean, I really, really, he can try. I mean, but he's not yet that advanced. But it's something to consider.
it's it's unbelievable, actually.
It's awesome. I mean,
I'm sorry.
Hash, sorry.
I thought it was
No,
fun.
no, no. It's okay. It's part of the
No, it's fine.
experience. People need to understand the direction technology is moving and how we need to be prepared with the right tools and with the right mindset. Hash, what do you think
Yeah,
is the future of revenue in this space?
got it. So actually, building on Gary's point, I don't think it's too far when the AIs kind of start competing with one another just like humans do, and that could create some real Skynet kind of a situation, something which we need to be careful about.
Okay.
So, uh, coming back, Nathan, to your question, right? So, brands, it's a very subjective element, right? So, just in 2020, in particularly in US, we have seen several major retail brands completely shut shop, and they were acquired for pennies on the dollar, literally. You have Pier One Imports, which was bought out, and a few other brands were completely bought out because they could not move to the digital, right? So that is why moving to digital is kind of like essential, and they cannot delay it any further. As far as revenue is concerned, going digital will only help them sustain their revenues. To kind of increase the revenues, it is going to be all about the messaging, right? The tone of the message these days has completely changed, right? Gone are the days when you used to have a traditional Reebok or a traditional Coca-Cola kind of selling into the market, and they used to sell like billions of dollars of products. Those days are completely gone. In today's day and age, unless the messaging truly resonates with the customer, they're not going to survive, right? That's why you have so many new brands who are suddenly, picking up millions of dollars in hardly a year or two and really going up. So the average life cycle of a company, which earlier used to be like 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, that's completely gone down. And the average, now it tends to be like 10 years, 20 years at best. So those are the kind of things which we need to understand, that going digital is no longer an option. And even if these brands they go over there, it's more of a survival instinct rather than actually growing. For growing, they need to ensure that the messaging is right based on the current consumer sentiment. and the current consumer sentiment is focusing more towards these green. They want to be associated with green products. They want to associate with organic products. They want something cool. They want to have a social element to it, right? Unless you can build a strong, thriving community around your product, most of the existing brands will face a very hard time kind of surviving in the current economic situation.
Nice, interesting. Reminds me of the other day I was shopping for some green foods, and already as I typed green, the options just came out. I think more ad agencies or the future of that industry has to be more aware of the consumer rather than what they want to sell, and then fit their product into that space, which is pretty
Exactly.
enlightening. Yeah. Um, so I think as we come to the end of today's show, which was very insightful, and I want to know your take. Um, I wish Vanessa was here, but I want to know your take on the future of ad marketing and content. I mean, in the next 5 years, 10 years. Gary has given me his opinion. Probably each person, I will have my own Jarvis. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, Nathaniel. Morpheus just wrote me back and said, um, so um, I'm not sure who Jarvis is, but I know that Tony Stark is a fictional character and I'm real.
wow.
Really?
I mean,
I mean, that is, I've never heard anything like that before. That's incredible.
oh,
It's gonna be a
wow, that's
dangerous time when these AI start competing with one another, isn't it?
It's unbelievable.
okay. Let me quickly get over to Vanessa and ask her, based on your location, based on your region, what would you think or what would you suggest is the most effective form of marketing or marketing medium in the African and in the developing world at large? Vanessa, can we have you? These are, I
Vanessa,
guess,
you're on mute.
I think she's
yes,
got
you're on mute.
bandwidth issues.
I think so myself. Anyway, maybe we can come back to her when she's through. Quickly, as we come to the end of the show, Kartik, give me your insight, the future of advertisement, marketing, and content creating. Tell me what you think 5, 10, 20 years from now will be commonplace.
So 10 years from now, the revolution's already begun, Nathaniel, is I will be able to choose what I want to see, when do I want to see, and I will be able to decide depending on what my current thought process is, what Siri is able to do, what Alexa is able to do, what Home is able to do, is to understand my behavior and showcase communication. And that mind mapping is necessarily going to be the future of communication, where snackable content, small campaign, 360-degree communication is necessarily going to marry my thought process and my intent to the kind of communication that I'm seeing. I would call it, and I would still call it, a very, very, very nascent stage in the evolution of the ad industry compared to where we expect it to be in the next 5 years. But a lot of startups and a lot of businesses, especially in the ancillary sectors, which is in content creation, content curation, creating campaigns or campaign management in the on all either the Google network or on the Bing network, or for that matter even on a social network, would be the pioneers, or would necessarily be the drivers of the change that is likely to come in. Focused and hyper personalization. I don't know how much more hyper personalization can go on in this space, but I will be watching this space for some time. We don't have any active engagements with any partners in this space at the moment. We don't have any projects on the table.
Okay, interesting. More consumer choice, more personalized ads. That's the future 10 years from now. So I don't get to see all those boring other things that come in the space. Harsh, what's your insight? The future of ads, marketing, and content creating 10 years from now.
So definitely personalization, which we are talking about right now, right? By 10 years down the line, it's gonna be something very common, right? But however, there's one channel which we still have quite haven't tapped yet. You look at email, you look at Facebook, you look at Google. most of the digital channels are completely tapped right now in a way that we can track where you are operating in the digital channel across the internet, right? However, we need to get that personalization done to the offline segment as well. I think that's where the future is, how you can get that level of personalization in the offline space through the offline modes of communication, like SMS, or you have like virtual banners, and the earlier you have the big events happening, promote during those big events like football events or soccer events or any of those events, right? How can you personalize at that level? That is where I see the future happening, and primarily in the offline channels, because online channels, they are already going at a deep level of personalization as self. But on the other hand, the online channels are facing a different sort of threat. Mostly it is legal and political in terms of privacy issues, right? So next couple of years will be quite interesting to see how the legal as angle kind of takes it over, because Europe has been particularly strict with the GDPR rules that they are following. And even recently, Apple, with the way that they've structured the Apple policies, Facebook is unable to use the current advertisement tools it has on Apple devices. So those are some of the challenges which digital technologies need to kind of grapple through around.
Okay, that's nice. Interesting. Government laws and regulations, how they affect advertising, and privacy issues, how they affect advertising, and obviously how to convert online activity to offline presence and activity. Interesting thoughts there. Vanessa, just before we go, what do you think 5, 10 years from now is the future of adverts and marketing and content creating? Can you hear me, Vanessa? There
I think
seems to be some.
she has a bandwidth issue, I think, Nathaniel.
Okay. I was just hoping that it will improve. Anyway, maybe we just go quickly to Gary. Final word, last words. What is the future
Well,
apart from Jarvis and
well,
Morpheus?
Morpheus just said to me, um, I just said, "Are you real?" And it said, "I'm real. I just like to talk about, but I do like to talk about comic books." So, uh, anyhow,
Wow.
the future is one that is very, very exciting because it's all about having the right product at the right place at the right time, and the technologies that are out there that can really hyper personalize to produce those kind of, to show us those kind of products and to guide us down the journey to make our customer experience a lot more rich and a lot more surgically precise. Those technologies, many of them are here today, many of them are being developed, and it's going to really enrich our experience and get us away from all this infobesity in the advertising and consumer experience place. So I'm very excited about it. By the way, you can reach me, Gary Fowler, on LinkedIn. You can reach me, Gary Fowler, on Twitter. Love to hear from you. And thanks, Nathaniel, for having a great show today.
Yes, I really thank you, all our panelists, for giving your contributions, your insights into the ad space, and we really appreciate your thoughts. I'm sure our audience had a good time. And in case you need to reach out to any of our audience, please go to LinkedIn, search for them, add them up, and share whatever you have to share. And for startups again, for startups and projects looking for funding for exposure, contact me or the LATOKEN team. Make your pitches on LATOKEN TV live. Get your feedback instantly, and we look forward to having you later today on the next show, on the next event. So till next time, thank you guys, and see you again very very soon.
Bye bye. Have a nice weekend. Take
Bye
care.
bye. Yeah.
Bye everyone. Thank you so much for